Okay, let's dive into this. You've shared with us what looks like a system log, a raw output, really, detailing some kind of machine activity.
That's right. It's pretty detailed.
And our mission here for this deep dive is to use only this text, nothing else, to try and figure out what system we're looking at. You know, what are its key parts? How does it handle information? And what specific job did it just finish?
Exactly. Stick to the evidence in the log.
Some of these terms jump right out. Aetheria OS, rites, archetypes. I mean, it sounds pretty unique, doesn't it? It gives the system a certain flavor.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
And you're right. This isn't just random debug output. It clearly documents a very structured computational process. Those terms you mentioned, they aren't just flavor. They seem to be fundamental concepts in how this system is actually built, its architecture.
Oh, okay.
We absolutely can piece together how it works just by, well, following the breadcrumbs these log entries leave for us.
Fantastic. So let's start right at the top. The log mentions initializing Aetheria OS conceptual components, and it lists three main players right away: Concordium, PantheonCore, and RiteEngine. What can we guess about their roles just from these initial lines?
Well, looking just at the actions logged, Concordium has entries like stored archetype Analytikos and stored Rite data processing basic.
Okay.
So that suggests it acts like a repository or maybe a library. It holds the definitions, the blueprints for the archetypes, and writes the system uses.
Right, like the system's recipe book or blueprint storage. Got
Sure.
it. So what about PantheonCore? What does the log show it doing?
PantheonCore seems more active, more central. It logs loaded definitions from Concordium, so it's clearly pulling info from Concordium. But then it does other things. Registered CC Canalys 001, it created pipes. And later on, we see entries about a CC that's probably conceptual component embodying an archetype.
So PantheonCore is maybe initializing these CC things, setting up connections, the pipes, and sort of assigning roles.
That's what it looks like, yeah. It seems to be the main orchestrator, managing the components of what they're supposed to be doing.
Like the conductor of the orchestra. Makes sense. And the third one, RiteEngine.
The RiteEngine's role seems pretty focused. The log says, very clearly, initiating Rite data processing basic.
Ah, okay, so it kicks things off.
Exactly. It looks like its job is starting and then managing these rites, these processes. We see it logging things like sending inputs to steps and then waiting for results. So it's the engine actually driving the workflow step by step.
Okay, that trio makes sense. Library, orchestrator, engine. And you mentioned CC and archetype. We see Canalys 001 and Analytikos. Does the log imply that a CC is the actual worker agent and the archetype is the job description or skill set it takes on?
That's precisely how it reads. Canalys 001 is logged as a specific entity, a CC, and the phrasing is embodying archetype. Analytikos really suggests it's adopting a defined role.
So Analytikos isn't the component itself.
No, I don't think so. It's the role or the set of capabilities that Canalys 001 uses when it embodies it. The system seems designed around these defined functional roles.
Interesting. Okay, moving through the log, the next big chunk is labeled Rite execution. It starts with initiating Rite data processing basic v1.0 and gives a unique execution ID that definitely confirms your idea that a Rite is a specific named process the system runs.
It does, and just before the steps start. PantheonCore logs, created pipe raw data, created pipe analysis results out, and created pipe final report too.
Like channels.
Exactly. They seem to be the dedicated pathways for data to flow between the different stages of this specific Rite, like plumbing, but for data, making sure the output of one step gets correctly to the input of the next.
A data pipeline. Okay, and then we get into the actual processing steps. The log shows two for this, right?
Yep.
Step analyze and step 2 report.
Right. Let's trace the first one. Step analyze. The log notes its goal. Analyze data for patterns. Pretty clear.
Yeah.
Then we see the RiteEngine logging. Sent initial inputs to pipe raw data for this step. And then it was waiting for input on that same pipe. Makes sense.
So it sends the raw data into that first pipe.
And the step waits for it. Once it arrives, crucially, the log shows CC Canalys 001 is embodying archetype, Analytikos. So that component steps into its Analytikos role right here.
For this specific analysis task. And what's really cool, I think, is the log doesn't just say data arrived. It tells us exactly what data.
That's incredibly helpful, isn't it? That level of transparency. The log explicitly records the input data for step analyze as, let me read it exactly, raw data values, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1 type numeric sequence.
Wow. So that specific list of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1, that was the actual input.
That's what the log says. That sequence was fed into this step, handled by PlyCanalyst001, acting as Analytikos.
That detail is gold for understanding what actually happened. And it says that while embodying Analytikos, the CC executed a specific capability, analyze data pattern.
Yes. And just like with the input, it logs the precise output too.
Which was?
The output is logged as patterns found, pattern A, pattern B, confidence 0.85.
Okay, so it found two patterns, pattern A and pattern B, with 85% confidence.
Correct. And then that result, that dictionary, was sent output of step analyze to pipe analysis results out.
Setting up the next step perfectly, which is step 2, report, goal. Generate summary report. And just as you'd expect, it was waiting for input on pipe analysis results out. It needs those patterns.
Exactly. It waits for the output of step 1, and once that data arrives...
Let me guess. Psychanalyst001 is still Analytikos.
Still Analytikos. The log confirms CC Psychanalyst001 executed a different capability this time. Generate summary report.
Makes sense. Same role, different skill within the role.
And the input data for this reporting step, as the log confirms, it was precisely the output from step 1. Patterns found. Yeah. Pattern A, pattern B, confidence, 0.85.
So the patterns found flowed directly through that pipe into the reporting step. Neat. And this step's output went to pipe final report 2.
Right. And immediately after that action, we see the message, Rite execution finished. Success.
And it even gives us the final result, doesn't it? The final Rite output payload.
It does. Summary report. Process data with patterns. Pattern A, pattern B. It's the culmination of the whole process we just traced. It confirms the overall outcome based on the analysis.
Okay, but there's one more section here. Entries under divine intent scroll. What's that about? Sounds lofty.
It does sound a bit grand, doesn't it? But looking at the entries, it seems to be a very detailed audit trail, almost like an execution trace.
How so?
Each entry has a timestamp, the step ID, the specific CC and archetype involved, the action taken, and critically, it often reiterates the exact input and output data payloads for key actions, like the analysis in step analyze.
Ah, so it's like a super detailed receipt of everything that happened.
That's a good way to put it. It suggests this system is designed with a high degree of traceability, maybe for debugging or auditing or just understanding exactly why a certain output was produced. It gives you that verifiable proof.
That seems incredibly useful, especially for complex processes. Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. Based only on what we've read in this log,
right?
What's the picture it paints of Aetheria OS? How does it seem to work?
Well, what this log strongly suggests, for you, the listener, is a system that's built to be highly modular. It runs these predefined versioned workflows it calls rites.
Right.
It uses distinct computational units, these CCs, and gives them specific roles or capabilities through archetypes. The data flow seems very structured, managed through these dedicated pipes, and the whole thing is meticulously logged in this divine intent scroll, giving you a full history, right down to the data being transformed at each step. It's also interesting how that single component, Catalyst001, handled both analysis and reporting just by using the Analytikos archetype.
Yeah, that archetype seems pretty versatile. This has been really illuminating, actually, just following the log entries. We saw the system start up, launch that data processing basic, right?
Trace that specific number sequence, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1.
As it got analyzed into pattern A and pattern B, and then saw how those results were used to generate the final report. Summary report. Process data with patterns, pattern A, pattern B. It really shows how much you can deduce just from careful reading. Thanks for sharing this. It's a fascinating glimpse.
It really is. It's a great example of a system that seems designed for, well, structured and transparent computation. Yeah. The architecture we can infer here, Concordium, PantheonCore, RiteEngine, CCs, archetypes, pipes, it all points to some very deliberate design choices about managing complexity and ensuring traceability.
Which brings us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to mull over, sparked purely by the language in this log.
What does this naming convention, Aetheria, OS, Concordium, PantheonCore, RiteEngine, even divine intent scroll, archetype, Rite, what does it all suggest? What kind of philosophy or maybe conceptual model might be behind a system designed using terms from mythology, ritual, and architecture? Why choose to frame computation in terms of archetypes performing rites? It's definitely something the log makes you wonder about.